Welcome to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. I'm the head coach, Josh Robinson. We're here to talk about our last regular season game of the 2024 football season against Ridgeland High School. Fortunately, we came out on top. We didn't play particularly well in several phases, but we found a way to score in multiple ways, which was really good. We did have some really great parts. We only dropped back to pass about 10 times, and some people would not be happy with that or go, oh my gosh, we're becoming one-dimensional. But we were able to run the ball with authority, and when you're doing that and able to control the clock, it is really beneficial for your football team. We, on defense, we'll talk about in a little bit, we did not tackle well, and our fits were probably as bad on 4 or 5 plays as they've been since early in the season. So we had some breakdowns, but we also had some really good moments, some special teams fireworks that were really exciting. So scoring on defense. So there still were those positive parts. Definitely didn't play as good a game as we wanted, but at the end of the day, at this time of the year, it only matters that you win, and you can go fix everything else. On offense, Gavin Knuckles was 5 for 6 for 19 yards and a touchdown. We dropped back to pass 10, 12 times, and Gavin had to run a few, did a really good job with his feet, and there were a few times they covered what we had. So it was just one of those situations where, again, we had limited snaps on offense too because of the occasional success they had of moving the ball and the special teams touchdowns we had. So it kind of limited things. But at the end of the day, it was still a really good night by Gavin, probably especially with his feet. Also had 11 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown. He scored the touchdown and had 3 more carries for first down. So really positive night for him. We knew all year we wanted to kind of protect him as we got down to the final part of our region schedule and turn him loose and let him play. Definitely don't want him hurt, but at the same time, we got to win this time of year. So Gavin's doing a great job. And then next, with Caden Ramsey, had 14 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown. This is coming off a really good performance last week, and we're really proud of Caden and the toughness and effort that he shows for our football team. Jace Santiago had 5 carries for 40 yards, and unfortunately for Jace, he was injured on Friday, was out on the field a while. He's a freshman. Counting up, I think we've had 7 or 8 freshmen that have gained any kind of significant playing time when the game was on the line. And Jace is one of those guys. He's been accountable. We don't remember him missing since he came up here in spring practice. He's been here every day. He's a backup inside linebacker, does a really good job there, and a backup running back, and was getting some opportunities due to some injuries and his hard work. And unfortunately, he was injured on the night. We're definitely praying for him and looking forward to having him back. It's going to be a part of a rehab that's going to press him, but he's such a mentally tough young man. We know he's going to be okay. After Jace went down, Cameron Collins, who was hurt the week before, came back for us and was able to contribute 6 carries for 23 yards and a touchdown. Tweaked his ankle again, unfortunately, but again, we got to win. And Cameron wanted to be in the game, and we really wanted to limit him, but with the injuries, it just kind of forced him into action. He did a good job. We are thankful that we have an off week this week to let some of these guys heal. Jacob Lee had 4 carries for 17 yards and did a really good job at H-back for us and helped pull a couple of people in the end zone the last few weeks. And Jacob's just a really good player for us that does a whole lot of everything, and a lot of it's going to go unnoticed by the average football fan, but not by the coaching staff, not by his teammates. Like, we know how important he is, and he had a good night rushing the ball. Xavier Villaforte unfortunately suffered a smaller level injury, and we're definitely keeping him in our prayers, but he was able to come in late in the game and get a few carries and some yardage. Receiving, not a lot of stats there. Corbin Bates had 2 catches for 14 yards and a touchdown. Really good by Corbin. He missed a good portion and wasn't getting to play a lot in the middle of the season due to injuries. And fortunately, he's made it back and become a consistent part of our offense. Ken didn't play very much, which kind of helped his hip pointer recover, and he's going to be better this week when it's over with. So kind of some positives that came out of that, even though, I know Ken would like to catch the balls. We just stayed in tight end H-back stuff a lot because of the difficulty that the other team had defending it and then the execution that our guys were having. So Still a solid night by Ken. Did a good job blocking for us. And then Evan Jones came back and played a lot of snaps for us, had a couple of catches, and it is just getting back on the mend from his injury that he had a broken finger and had a strained leg. So there were some different things that he's overcome, and he's starting to get back in the scheme of things. We had 2 big returns, really 3. Evan Jones had a huge opening kickoff return for around 75 yards for the opening score to put the Bruins up 7-0. Kyle Cummins had a long punt return around 70 yards as well that extended our lead out right before halftime to go from 21 to 28 to 14. And then Cade Parker had a really long return that we ended up scoring on in the 4th quarter. So it's a really good job by our special teams. Really proud of that. It's been a long time since we've scored on offense, defense, special teams. That's not something easy that's common at any level of football. And so we're proud of our guys, not just the guys that returned and got their name in the paper or the recognition, but the other guys who played a role blocking for them as well. At this time, let's take a look at the first half highlights. Here we are entering the field. We're thankful for our band and our cheerleaders and the support that we get even on the road. And we had a really nice crowd there, and we're thankful for that. This is early, and the opening kickoff comes, and a solid job by our front walls there as Evan Jones busted outside and goes the distance for us to put Northwest up 6-0 as Sam Crossan comes on to snap the ball. Will was 6, so Max Harrison on the hold, and Neri Martinez driving the extra point home for us to go up 7-0. Here they are on the first play from scrimmage for them, really the first play from scrimmage for both teams, and trying to throw the swing route. And we have Caden Ramsey, Dominique Johnson, Adrian Madrigal, Everett Williams all in on the play. We get some pressure there, running the zone, and we got to get that guy going backwards early instead of letting him squeak out. Here's a great chance for a pick 6 for us as Adrian applies pressure. Raven does a good job of breaking on it. Ultimately, they ended up scoring on a tunnel screen on the next play after that. And we come back on offense. We get a good return by Evan up near midfield there, and we're pounding away as on 4th down. You can see Jay Santiago leading the blocking out on the edge. Our offensive line had another really good week for us. And here's Kim with his catch for 8 yards. As he's able to help get us a first down, and we drive the ball here. We're down on the goal line, and here we run a comeback route with Corbin Bates. You kind of can't see it in the camera shot, but Corbin Bates catches a really good ball by Gavin, delivered at perfect timing, and on the outside where only the offensive player can get to it. Good catch by Corbin as Neri adds the extra point to put us up 14-7. Really unique play right here. They said somebody touched the ball, and I'm going to be honest with everybody. Nobody touched the ball when it hit the ground. They called a fair catch, which slowed our guys down. But regardless, they spotted it up at the 49-yard line, and we get a big tackle right there. Several of our guys, Everett Williams with a good tackle, and Sam Crossan, end up giving up a first down, a little bit too soft in coverage. And here, even though he was down by knee, you can see the tackles that we missed starting to mount, and they end up scoring to bring the score tied at 14. And on 3rd down, really big down for us right here as we drop back to pass, and Gavin does a good job getting some pressure with Jacob Lee out in front of him as he gets up to near midfield and avoids a hit, which is always important for a quarterback. Here, Jay Santiago gets a big run as he gets up to the 45-yard line. Caden Ramsey comes on, bust free, gets close inside the 40, and then we have Jay Santiago running right here as he comes down around the 25-yard line. Comes back again with another good run. As you can see, he's a really talented young man. We'll look forward to having back after his injury, but Caden Ramsey does a good job of squeaking through the line there and getting down really inside the 1, and we come back and he runs through some tacklers. Not a great job blocking, not terrible. The backside's got to do better, but regardless, we end up adding an extra point there with Neri Martinez to bring it ahead 21-14. We kick it off here. Neri's kicking, and we want to try to use all of our weapons in our that we have as far as kicking. We high pooch, we kick deep, we squib kick. We do a little bit of everything to make it difficult on the other team. We had several opportunities to come up with a ball and ultimately did not, but they're trying to run the screens they had success on. We got to come faster at corner. We can't miss that tackle there, but regardless, we bring them down. Throwing the jump ball up and another underthrown ball. Again, they had 3 that amounted to 119 yards of offense for them that were underthrown, accidental throws, but regardless of running out and up, the safety does a good job of taking care of, but Gavin still picks up the first down. Good long run here by Jace as this is the play that he got injured on. Really long run, great job by our offensive line. Caden Ramsey comes on the next play for us and moves it. We end up not scoring on that particular one, and it's right at the end of the half. We had to punt. Kyle got off a really good punt, and they ran the ball. We called a timeout, and then they threw the ball 2 consecutive plays, which allowed us to have a timeout left as we fielded this punt here with less than a minute left. But Kyle let the ball roll, which we're not a big fan of, but then he does a good job of getting down the sideline. Really smart play by our guys, not blocking anyone in the back and getting in the way, making sure nobody keeps him from getting into the end zone, which is a huge play for us. We were only up by 7. Now we're up by 14 as Neary adds the extra point with only 26 seconds left. So that's a really big play in the game, really big swing. We didn't want them to get it. We were kicking deep on the next one. We kind of have a script that we followed to some degree, and we were kicking it deep, but with the time left, we ended up squib kicking it, and Landon Gray was on the tackle, and then we tackled the tunnel screen, which was their favorite play on the night. We did a really good job after a few early ones. The long one went for a touchdown of stopping that play until really late in the game when we had subbed some. At this time, let's take a look at the corporate sponsors. Welcome back to the Northwest Football Show. Let's talk a little bit about our defense. We've already touched on it some. It just wasn't a great night for us. It wasn't a terrible night, but we just tackled poorly. The week after coming off of playing Adairsville and maybe tackling as good as we have, as good as we have all year, and one of the best that we've ever tackled in a long time here. We had a very poor tackling night. That's just something that we definitely were kind of surprised about because we haven't shown that. Something we work every week on practice, but football's football, and you have to give Ridgeland some credit. They'd really been a run-oriented offense. They had a week off prior to playing us, and they came out and threw the ball all over the place. So, we still have to be prepared and tackle. When we executed, we did a really good job and made them punt, and they gained relatively few yards. Some of their catches were hoisting a ball up in the air, and their guys, it was underthrown, and their guys would kind of see it underthrown and come back to it. So a few of those things are, to a degree, a little uncontrollable, but still, we're going to be better. Our guys are going to work on it. We're going to hopefully get everybody back for practice. Practice matters, and we just had a lot of guys injured, and hopefully they'll be back and we'll be better for the playoffs. On the night, Adrian Madrigal had 5 tackles, 2 quarterback pressures, and a tackle for a loss. Adrian cares so much. He plays so hard. I say it every week. He's not the most physically imposing guy, but he just does a really good job for us. Tony Bernecki, who had 3 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. Back-to-back really good games by both of those guys, and we could say the same thing about both of them. Just how hard they play, how physical they are to not be the biggest people on the field, and we're just really proud of them. Everett Williams had 3 tackles, a tackle for a loss, so a really good day by Everett. We lost a little consistency across our D-line with our technique grades, but that'll be back. We'll be better. We'll be more locked in and ready for the playoffs. And then Levi Crawford, who's a guy who's really turned into our fourth lineman who rotates for multiple people out there, plays as many plays as our starters in a lot of situations, had 4 tackles and quarterback pressure. Levi plays so hard and really sells his soul for the Northwest every single week, and we're thankful for that and all our guys. And then we got other snaps. Logan Klein had a tackle. Clayton McClure had a tackle for a loss, and then Talon Edwards and Wahid Arnold came in and did a really good job for us as well. Linebackers, I not only am I defense, but I coach the linebackers with Coach Brookers, the main coach, and I help him. And we didn't tackle well. We have a really good, talented unit that has been really consistent all year. Not only we not tackle well, but overall we didn't play well. That's something those guys are going to fix. They take a lot of pride in what they're doing. They've watched film, and they're ready to get back to work. We were able to take Monday off and then start back at practice at Tuesday, and those guys were locked in and focused and ready to go practice football and get back to their old ways and even improve on that. We still had some good stats amongst the group. Sam Crossan ended up with 8 tackles, 6 of them on defense, 2 of them on special teams. Dominic Johnson had 7 tackles. Both those guys playing inside for us, and we depend on to be sure tacklers. And we just weren't on Friday, and it's something that they're going to take a lot of pride in and fix for sure. Lucas Amos had a really good night, minus a late missed tackle. He had 6 tackles, 2 pass breakups, an interception, a touchdown, a tackle for a loss, and a quarterback pressure. So he really put a lot of stats together and probably was the most consistent performance out of all of them. But there's still a couple of plays that ended up going for long yardage, one for a touchdown that he knows that he can make those plays, and he will going forward. Caden Ramsey also moving over from playing offense to defense, had playing both sides of the ball, had 3 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and 2 pressures. Really productive night by him. As he continues to work on his pass rush moves and his eye discipline, he's going to continue to make big plays for us for as long as Northwest plays in the 2024 season. And Jace Patterson, fortunately, was able to come on, practice really good. Performs well on special teams for us, came in and added a quarterback pressure as well. Defensive backs, we covered fairly well, minus a few jump balls. We were more disciplined back there. We took a bad angle on a couple. But overall on the night, Raven Foster had 2 tackles and a pass breakup. Senior Force doing a really good job continuing to work. And he's a college student already, which is something that's a challenge for any student, but he continues to care about what we're doing and improving. Kyle Cummins had 2 tackles, a pass breakup. We've already mentioned his punt return, continues to affect the game in multiple ways. He's our punter, got a couple of great punts off, so really good job by Kyle for us, really multitude of ways. And he's just a sophomore. He's going to contribute on both sides of the ball next year at wide receiver as well. Just a really talented young man. Kay Parker's one of the best football players in the region. Definitely one of the best defensive backs. He had 8 tackles and pass breakup. He's just so consistent every single week, and we're really thankful for his work ethic and his effort in the weight room and on the field and at practice. He's just a pleasure to coach. Walker Jones came back and had another strong performance, had 4 tackles on the night, tweaked his shoulder a little bit, so he may miss a little time this week during the off week, but then he'll be back and continue to improve. Just a junior for us and going to play a large role the rest of this year and next year for us. Chance Whitfield came on and probably played his most plays and had his most productive night with a tackle and 3 pass breakups, doing a really good job for us back there, and again stayed engaged throughout the process to earn some playing time back there, and we're really, really proud of him. At this time, let's take a look at the second half highlights. Here we are starting the second half. They got the ball. It's really important. We know we didn't play well on defense, and we're swarming the ball, and that looks more like the Bruin defense we've come accustomed to. Come off the edge, good job, good tackle by Cade Parker as they get up, and they only gained 6 yards on the possession, and now they're a little scared to kick it deep, and they're getting off bad kicks, which really helps us. They get a little bit of a Ridgeland roll, but regardless, come back there, and Kyle gets off a great punt that was about 65 yards, I believe, and ultimately they come back trying to run the option, establish the run a little bit more. But our guys up front played really well in the option, running some twists. Coach Miner does a good job with his guys up front. Good coverage there by Chance Whitfield as they get another punt. This one's even shorter and really gives us favorable field position around the 40-yard line as we come back on offense. And at this point, Cameron Collins is back in the game. Not quite at full speed, as you can tell, but still really tough young man that we're glad he got to play and score a touchdown. And Caden Ramsey's in on the carries here. Needs to hit that ball inside, but still he's a tough body to take down, really strong young man. Really good job of our offensive line. As you can see, Zach Rydens and Caden Kreisel, Bryant Stanley, Andrew Welch, Cooper King, Logan Stevens, all those guys, Griffin McCutcheon, Jacob Lee, all those guys from tight end, H-back, all the way through the offensive line, all getting some opportunities. And then here, Neri Martinez adds the extra point at this point to go up 35-14 with just a couple minutes left in the third quarter. Really need to get a stop here. We wanted to sky kick it. They get a return, but it's really favorable to sky kick and people run opposite because it allows us a chance to make a big play. Good play by Caden Ramsey right there as he runs through, gets a tackle, and then Sam's right there, still fighting that injury bug. You can see him kind of slow. They threw another fade that was up in the air, underthrown, and they end up coming up with, so they get some yardage here. Good job by our linebackers, our secondary, getting in some passing lanes as we enter the fourth quarter with the lead being cut. Here with really big hit by Sam Crossan and Dominic Johnson. And they're trying to establish the run a little bit more, but our guys we do a really good job in the run game. It was really perimeter tackling for us. This is one of their best plays that they had early in the game. Caden Ramsey makes a great play and gets a tackle, and they get a kickoff right here. You know, it's 35-21 at this point. We really needed that stop. Well, even more, Cade Parker's a really talented young man for us and takes the ball up to inside the 15. As we come back, and then ultimately we're able to run the ball a few times. Good job by our O-line. Really tough running by Jacob Lee. And then we're running the power there with Gavin carrying the ball, and it puts us up by 21 points with only a few minutes left. And really at this point, the game is semi-over with, but we still want to play well and kind of finish out the game. And our tackling was just, on this possession, was okay. End up making them punt, but just not great overall. Our last possession was really sloppy, but we get an interception here by Lucas Amos as he returns it for a touchdown, which is his first high school football touchdown. Really exciting for the defense. As we go up, we missed the extra point. We went up 47-21. Just a few minutes left, and then you know, it's not okay, but we get really sloppy, missed tackles. We're subbing, we got backups in, but our backups are capable. We have to go out with the same consistency. Stopped them on the goal line a couple of times, then just had a bad fit as they come down and play right here as they get close to the goal line. Ultimately, they score with just a few seconds left, and the clock winds down as Northwest wins by a score of 47-28. At this time, let's take a look at our corporate sponsor.
And that brings us to our final.
Welcome back to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. Let's talk a little bit about how things are going to unfold. Obviously, we don't know the results of other games and the power rankings. The GHSA pulls private schools out and puts them in their own playoffs now, which adjusts the way the playoffs are done. Basically, the 1 and 2 seed are given priority seeding, which means a 2 seed's not going to drop below 16. They put all the 1s, 1 through 8, and then 9 through 16 for the next ones, and so on all the way down. But after the top 2 seeds, if you're in a region where there's a private school that's going to be pulled out, then you're the 3 seed from that region, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in the next 8 there at 17 through 24 or whatever. You're not going to be at that point. It's all based off of power ranking. So there's a lot of things that go into play. Ultimately, where are we at? We're in the playoffs. We clinched a playoff spot last week when we beat Adairsville. We improved our odds of getting a home playoff game and getting priority seeding is basically what they called it by beating Ridgeland. We now need Adairsville to beat Heritage for us to be the 2 seed, and we'll likely end up the 12th or 14th seed overall. Which, depending on where you end up, you'll be matched with someone in the 20s. If we end up the 3 seed, we will be a higher ranked 3 seed, which will put us against a lower ranked 2 seed. So it's, to kind of summarize, it's a little bit like March Madness and how they rank teams, and they go in, they do 1 through 64, and then they kind of bracket them, and okay, this is the number 1 overall seed, this is the number 64, and they match those guys up. So that's really the best summary I can give of what's going on. Who are we going to play in the playoffs? Every year that I've coached high school football, which at this point I believe I'm in year 22, I've been able to tell you at this point we're playing this region, it's going to be one of 2 or 3 teams. We would go scout that team this week and watch those guys play, probably split up if we weren't sure of who the opponent was. That's not the case this week. Because we don't know where we're going to finish, because if Adairsville wins, we're the 2, Adairsville's the 3, Gilmer's the 4, and Heritage is the 5. If Heritage wins, they're the 2, we're the 3, Adairsville the 4, and Gilmer's the 5. And our 5 seeds, both of those teams, whoever it ends up being, there's a chance they could still get in the playoffs because it's kind of like an at-large bid. So it's a really unique situation and something we're not completely sure of. And at the end of the day, really, we're going to spend this week working on us. Next week is the extended week because there's about 25, 30 teams that didn't get to, or 25 or 30 games that didn't get to be played the week of our hurricane that came through, so they extended that out. So we really won't know where or who we're going to end up with until November the 9th. We will have an idea, but there is no guarantees about what the final outcome will be. So it'll be a unique week. We'll kind of find out on Saturday. We will meet as a coaching staff on Sunday, probably pull our guys in that afternoon, try to get our game plan going a little bit with them so that we can get moving and move forward to the playoffs. Whether we're on the home or at home or on the road, we're really thankful to be in the playoffs. When we lost to Heritage, it was a really disappointing loss, and there was a lot of scenarios that could have played out where we didn't make it. And again, people watched us beat Gilmer and Adairs were like, oh, those aren't that good of teams. Those teams are really, really talented. There's a chance we may match up with them, and it's going to be really difficult to beat them again. I think it's in us. I think there's a lot of teams that if we just go out and play our game, we're going to be in the game and have fourth quarter where we're going to have to make plays or not. And fortunately, our guys, I've been so proud of to do that and to get where we're at. An 8-2 season, that's not easy. Winning is difficult at all levels. There's so many differences between elementary and middle school and high school. It just builds and it becomes more difficult for everyone. And I'm super thankful for our guys and their effort and our coaching staff and their commitment to these young men. It's going to be a challenge, but we definitely look forward to our next show. Is hopefully we're talking about a playoff win, but it's going to be 21 days from our last game until we take the field again. It's going to require some focus. Next week we're going to have to hit and collision each other and get ready for a football game so that we stay fresh and ready to go. So until next week, this is Josh Robinson with Northwest Football.